Welcome back to the greenhouse. Really exciting video for you today. Middle of November and it's time to sow the winter tomatoes. So if you've been following for a while, you'll have seen that last year towards the end of November I actually winter sowed a Roma tomato. I had a whole one left about that time and it was going a little bit squidgy, so I couldn't eat it. So I thought, let's just experiment and winter sow it, leave it up in the greenhouse and see what happens, and it was a raging success. We had loads of seedlings popping up early April. So this year, middle of November, it's the 15th as it stands as now, and we're going to test the theory a little bit further. We've also got a collaboration going on as well this year. So Denise from Let's Grow Home on Instagram, she's going to be joining us. She's all the way up in Scotland in Perth, and she gets quite a lot more cold weather for a longer period of time than we get down here in West Yorkshire. So she's going to do a little bit of testing as well, and we're going to see what successes she has. And as things progress, we'll keep having some updates, and springtime we'll see how we're both going on and loop you back in. So, winter sowing, if you've never heard of it before and if you don't know what it's about, we'll have a bit of a recap on what's involved, and I will show you some in a moment. But the theory is that anything that drops its seed on the ground at this time of year and then lies dormant over winter and then starts emerging and germinating in the springtime, it's a viable candidate to actually sow it now. And the thing is with the tomatoes is that when you throw all your old plants away in the compost heap this kind of time of year, when you're clearing your greenhouse out, when you start messing with your compost around springtime, turning it all over and the temperatures are increasing and the light levels are increasing, you tend to find that you're absolutely overrun with little tomato seedlings. So on the back of that, I thought, well, that's saying to me that you could in theory winter sow them. And the results from last year show that you can, and it worked brilliantly. So, how you do it, let me get my bits out. Not a euphemism. What you do generally is, you get yourself some sort of container. So, I mean, this is actually a 5 litre vinegar pot, so I use a lot of vinegar for cleaning. But, more commonly, people tend to have various sort of plastic milk containers hanging about at home. It's been rinsed out. And what you do is, you put yourself some holes in the bottom, a few drainage holes, and if you keep your lid, put yourself some holes in the top as well. And this is going to create you a little protected environment, a little mini greenhouse in your greenhouse. But sometimes people will sow in those and put them straight outside as well, just so that they can get the full force of all the cold. And I first saw this example on a channel called Garden Answer. I'll link that as well below. I'll link the exact video that I saw, and she was doing so many flower seeds in this kind of method, and she puts them straight outside and they get snow on top of them and everything, and so they really do get some quite harsh conditions. But having them in the little tub does help stop them from getting too waterlogged, is the main thing really. But yeah, the seeds need to know that it's winter, they need to get all the cold, and then once they know that the levels are increasing, we've got a little bit more consistent warmth, they know that we're coming into spring and they all start germinating. So what you do is, we put a little bit of soil in the bottom of there, we sow the seeds, or we put the whole tomato in. We sellotape that back shut and put a label on it somehow, and then all I did was I just left these in the greenhouse and it was fine. That were enough, that were it worked. The benefits of winter sowing are that instead of rushing in springtime when we've got so much sowing to do, you've done a load of it, you've got ahead a little bit by doing some of it now, you know, when things are quieting down a little bit. The seeds start growing themselves when it's the most appropriate conditions for them to start growing, rather than us trying to push things and sowing things a bit too early. Because I know there's some people sow their tomatoes in February. I don't. I wait till about sort of mid-March, and you know, when we've got better light levels starting to increase. But the tomato seedlings actually popped up sort of within the first week in April last year. So to me, they're actually growing themselves at the most optimum time for them. I believe that tends to make for a much stronger plant because they know when to do it better and we're not pushing things too much. And I must admit, the seedlings that popped up last year, they were really nice, strong plants, much stronger than anything that I grew at home, you know, on the windowsill. So, I mean, if we can get them all starting to grow, this time of year, and they make really, really nice seedlings that, you know, they don't need any hardening off because they've grown all through the cold, and then they've naturally acclimatised as the greenhouse has sort of gone up and up in temperature as well. So they're just ready to plant straight out and just, well, just get away really. So yeah, nice strong little plants grown at the right time, and they do it all for you. They do all the hard work for you, which is absolutely fab. Now, some limitations on winter sowing might be that if for some reason you have a little bit of a failure and you're waiting until the first or second week in April to see the seedlings, if at that point you decide that they're not coming through, it's getting just a little bit late to be sowing them fresh from seed again. So you may want to, if it's your first time experimenting with it, is just to hedge your bets and sow some maybe middle of March, either way, just to make sure that the experiment's going to go right. Because you never know what's going to happen, do you? You know, if you don't come up to your greenhouse much and then your little pot that they're growing in dries out, or you never know if a cat gets in, knocks it all over. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, if for some reason they don't come through, you might want to just hedge your bets and do some from seed as well. And the other thing is, of course, that if you're growing some F1 varieties such as Sungold, which I always like to do, they're not going to come true from saved seed or from planting your whole tomato, because I mean it's the same difference, isn't it? What you might want to do with those is buy your fresh seed as you normally would, and still try planting it winter sown, but yeah, keep some back for spring just in case. Let's have a look at what we've got to sow this year, because last year I did a Roma and I also did a lucid gem, and I must admit I think I only got one seedling come through from the lucid gem, which, you know, that's another reason why just to, you know, proceed with a bit of caution, because I would have thought I'd have got more from that. I got loads from the Roma. I've actually got, I mean, I say it's fresh, it looks a bit ropey, doesn't it, if you can see that, it's a bit sort of wrinkly. So I've got a Roma there that's been sat in the fridge, and then one there that feels like it's fit to explode, like it's got some gas in it or something, so I'm going to handle that very carefully. But yeah, 2 Roma that are fresh-ish, just like last year, so we'll do those. And just because I didn't know whether I was going to have any purple Heart Throb ripe at this time of year, I took a decent sized one off the plant when it was ripe, and I've actually frozen that. So, you know, that's really been through winter so far, hasn't it? So we're going to see if planting a frozen one works as well. I'm just a bit concerned with this is that now it's going to warm up and melt and defrost. I'm hoping that that doesn't think it's in spring already, because I don't really want them to pop up and then get cold and sort of die off again, because they are a warm weather plant, aren't they? So we don't want them to grow this side of winter, we want them just to germinate in spring. So yeah, it's just about timing it right. I've also got an Abraham Lincoln as well, that's been in the freezer, so yeah, we'll try that one. But I have got, if we just have a little look over here, we've got loads of Abraham Lincolns ready on this, so we'll also try a fresh one, yeah, and just see how we go with both of them. Because again, yeah, hedging as bets, we'll have a frozen one and we'll have a fresh one, because we know fresh ones work. And I'm not doing any seeds, yeah, I'm not going to bother doing any seeds, we'll just see if these two work. Yeah, so let's get on and do some. And do let me know if you decide to have a go with this. By all means, let me know what variety that you're sowing and what method did you use. Did you have a fresh tomato? Did you buy a tomato from the shop if you didn't have any left? Are you going to try with seeds? And yeah, keep me updated when it gets into spring, because I think this is a bit of a revelation. I mean, you know, we don't all want to be panicking, do we, too much in spring when we've got everything to sow. And if you can get a few things ahead, you know, do it this time of year when we're all a bit mourning the loss of tomatoes and summer. You know, just get ahead of yourself and less panic later. So I am going to try and lighten this up a bit, because it's very soggy, that compost, and it's my old stuff. It's about 2-year-old is that. I thought I'd used it all up, but I found a couple of bags. I'm going to use my big vermiculite that I've got. So it's very, very chunky. Is that a bit far too chunky? But I did get it for free, this. I think it's more insulation type. I did try and put it through my food processor, but it created a heck of a lot of dust and it was very, very messy. So I'm just going to use it as big stuff. Just get this lightened up a little bit. Right, let's get this first one done. Right, so yeah, we've got one tub ready to go there, and I think what I'm going to do, because this is a big tub, is I'm going to put my frozen Abraham Lincoln that side and label it accordingly, and I'm going to take one off the plant and put it up this end, and we should see little pile of seedlings, little pile of seedlings, and it's just going to be an interesting comparison. And I'm hedging my bets as well, because if it doesn't work from freezing the tomato, I've got a fresh one here. Now it does look a bit ropey, actually. It looks a bit blighty, this one. But I confess, I've saved seed from blighted tomatoes. In fact, these Abraham Lincolns, how many years ago were it now? Were it 3 years ago? They got blight really bad outside, and I saved the seed. I grew them last year, they were fine. Saved the seed again, grew them this year, they were fine. So I know I'm not breeding any blight resistance by doing that, am I? But I'm not, you know, I'm not a legendary expert, am I? I'm not a legendary grower, so I'm not that bothered. Oops, got a load of branch with it now. Right. So yeah, this guy then is looking a little bit worse for wear on top of it, squishy on top of it there. There, here's exploding all, look, it's really exploding. So yeah, we're going to cram that in the soil and we're going to use him. So yeah, fresh one, let's have him at the front, just digging a hole, digging a little hole in my tub, shove him in, like that, yeah, so straight off plant, shove him in, cover him over, and then my frozen one, which, yeah, still frozen, let's break into this. That was frozen, when did I put? 2nd of October I froze this. I don't know why that were relevant, but anyway, so it's had about what's that, 6 weeks? Right, so we're gonna yeah, it's covered in ice. He were a nice one, he were alright, that, wasn't he? So yeah, let's shove this one in as well. There we go. So we've got the frozen ones right at the back edge there where the hinge is. And I'm not that bothered that I've put these in the same tub, because I'm not that interested to know whether there's a difference in the strength of the plant between the fresh tomato and the frozen one. At this stage, I'm more bothered about whether a frozen tomato germinates the seeds at the right time of year, you know, if it still works. Because if it does, if you do get into the season and you think, oh, I'm going to winter sow the tomatoes, but you notice we've got a lot of blight, if at that point you hedge your bets and you freeze your tomato before the blight hits, then we know that it's just another route, isn't it? It's just another method of doing it that'll work. So yeah, we're going to see. We'll see if both of these methods works. I think this is moist enough. It's quite wet, this compost. It's been sat outside. Yeah, got a little bit of moisture running out of that, so I'm alright with that. I think that's fine. Should we put some vermiculite on top? Can we be bothered? Yeah, let's do it. Right, whatever. Let's get him sealed up. Yeah, it's quite funny, is this? You know, use what you've got kind of thing again. It's double-sided tape that I used to stick my lino down in the kitchen, is this. So yeah, it were all I had. I'm sure it'll do. I'll stick that bit down like that first, and can have a hands-free moment. Whoops. There we go. That's good. Oh, my marker pen don't want to write on it. Write it on the tub. Abe frozen. Abe fresh. What's the date? 15th. 15th this year. Okay. There we go. Abraham Lincoln at back frozen. Fresh one at front. Date on it. He's done, right? And now you set and forget. You just put it in here and go to the pub. Next. Right, mega grubby container here, because this one we used for something last year and I've lost my lid. Never mind. So right, I think we'll put purple Heart Throb in this, and I'm only going to do frozen one of this. I'm gonna be brave and trust to the, you know, trust my method. But also I'm going to make a confession now. Don't hate me, Audrey, because Audrey loves this one as well. I'm not sure if I'm fussed for growing purple Heart Throb next year. So if it don't come through, I'm not that fussed. mostly because I didn't eat a lot of salads this year. I just ended up busy and not faffing. Oh, and plus I didn't have a kitchen for a fair bit through summer, did I, either, when they were all coming good. Ended up with a load of purple Heart Throb tomatoes at home, which are quite a squishy big thing, to be honest, and they sort of sat there. So yeah, I'm going to do more varieties that I can preserve for next year. I mean, I preserved a lot of the purple Heart Throb as well. They did go into sauces, but I mean, that's not when it's being used at its best, really. It's more of a salad tomato and a sandwich tomato as well. So yeah, loads of Roma for next year, loads of the Abraham Lincoln that are a bit multi-purpose. I'm going to try Marmande as well, but I'll do those because I've got the seed. I'll do those springtime, yeah. Right, so purple Heart Throb in this. And I must admit, if you've noticed, I'm covered in muck because I'm carrying that bag up on my shoulder because I've had to leave the car down at bottom again because the path's really wet. I'm always grubby. Right then, yeah, got a fair bit in there. 3.5 inch, 4 inch maybe. Let's get this frozen one out. I mean, he were a squidgy one, he were. I mean, look at, can you tell how squishy and horrible that must have been? Oh well. It was going a bit gross, wasn't it, that, by the time I rescued it. But anyway, I don't mind. I feel like, you know, when they're starting to rot a little bit and they start going a little bit acidic and breaking down, well, I mean, it's meant to grow from that again, isn't it? So I feel like when it starts going manky, it's actually creating the right kind of conditions for the seeds to grow, like maybe a bit more acidity. I don't know, but I don't always think gross stuff on the allotment is a bad thing. Right, let's bury him. I'll see you like Lazarus in springtime. It's a big one, that. PHT, purple Heart Throb, and date. Another one done. I ain't got a lid for that. Right, next grubby tub. We'll put the 2 Roma in. Now then, big un. Bung him in. Little un. Stalk and all. Bung him in. Oh, it exploded. It didn't get me though. Right, Roma. Right, so that's my 3 winter sown varieties that I wanted to do. So yeah, Abraham Lincoln, purple Heart Throb, and the Roma that worked so well last year. And you can do loads and loads of regular stuff, winter sown, more commonly known about stuff. One that works amazing as a flower is the straw flowers. I've done those for a couple of years winter sown and they work brilliantly. So these are some homegrown ones from earlier in the year. I know you can't really tell now because it's dried out, but it was a really lovely kind of like cream into pink, like two-tone almost. They seem to hybridise quite easily, these do as well, I must admit. Bit of a new sort of colour shift is this one for this year. So I may get another funny colour grow from that. It's not necessarily going to be exactly the same, but because it's got a load of seeds in it, I might just plant this whole flower and, you know, using my tomato method, just shoving it in. I might, rather than just sprinkle the seeds, I think I'll just bury the whole flower as if it did it itself. So yeah, out of the middle of it, loads and loads and loads. Can you see? Do I have to do a bit of this professional business like that? I don't know if that's focusing, but yeah. Yeah, so hopefully there's some viable ones in here, but we'll find out, won't we? Yeah, so let's get that buried as well. Right, just a little one. And I'll bung it in. Like that. Oh, poor little guy. Just shoved in there. Devil may care. Get it sealed. Get a label. We'll see if that one works as well, just by burying a complete flower. So yeah, it don't get a whole much easier than that, does it really? So let's now fly up north, up to Perth in Scotland, and let's see what varieties Denise is going to be sowing.
Thanks Claire. So I'm Denise from Let's Grow Home. and I said I would do this with Claire so we could compare the difference in growing conditions. So I'm in the northeast of Scotland in Perthshire, and I'm going to do 4 different types of tomatoes. The 4 varieties I'm going to be doing are Amateur, Principal Borghese, Tigerella, and Elsa Craig. So a couple of these are early blooming and saying they're good for indoors or outdoors, so we'll see how it goes. These were not the ones I was growing next year, these were just spares I had in my seed box. So what I'm going to do first of all is just fill up the milk cartons. I've filled the milk cartons, so I'm doing the same as Claire with the milk cartons, and all I've done is give them a good wash out. I'm going to put holes in the top, which I've not done yet, and just use the Stanley knife to cut these in half so they've got almost a lid. So I've got 4 different types. First one, second one, now what I'll do is I'm going to tape them up with electrical tape after I've covered them in compost and gave them a water. Give them a water. Now cell tape them up, write them names on it, and check in the spring. Back to you, Claire.
Thank you for that, Denise. I'm looking forward to seeing how yours come on as well, but we'll have a catch up as we get into spring, and yeah, we'll just start monitoring the progress and see what starts emerging. But anyway, after last video when we put the garlic in, let's go out and have just a little mini garlic update. And it's raining. Here we are, and yeah, didn't get any less squidgy underfoot, did it? Yeah, look at these, all these garcuas coming through, looking lovely. And I think we've got one coming through there. I don't think we've missed any, which is good. I've had to go around purple sprouting broccoli though. I forgot to put those there. Still waiting for the saved ones to poke through, but they went in last, so I am expecting those to show quite soon. Phew. It's really raining. Of course it is. Yeah, so the garlic's looking great. Just those last 3 rows that we did the other day just to fill in, but I'm not too worried about it. I think they'll be showing really soon. And one other thing I noticed actually when I stumbled into the greenhouse, I've actually got some lemon drop chilies ripe. So, I mean, poor things, look at these. I mean, look. Look at that. For shame. Yeah, bless them. Oh, but look at the crop I've got from that. Don't think that's too bad from that tiny little neglected pot, is it? And I've got some other ones as well, here and there, dropping off. Yeah, so I'm going to harvest those and take those home as well. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget Denise's Instagram in the description below. Follow along, and when we get into springtime, we'll give you some updates on how things are coming through, and just test this theory whether the frozen ones work. Leave us a comment below as well, and just let us know if you're going to play along, if we've inspired you to give it a go yourself. And have you got any of your own tomatoes left, or do you need to maybe go and buy something, or are you going to try with your seeds, but now instead of springtime? And yeah, let's share the information, see if you have some successes as well, because after last year seems like it's a really good idea. And why not get ahead? Why not get ahead with some really strong seedlings? And you know, just lighten the load a little bit for all the work that you've got to do in spring. And we'll give you some updates middle of March, maybe start of April, when things start to show through. And yeah, we'll just further test this theory and see where we end up next spring. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye! Should we start again? Oh, it's crazy windy, isn't it? And we've actually got a collaboration as well, just to help us just why can't I say it? This bit's don't work. I'm not bothered that loads of seeds there. Hopefully, oh, what went in my eye? And it was going so well. I kind of need to script it, don't I? We can't get out at greenhouse. Oh, help! Pure quality. And it's raining, of course it is, isn't it? Yeah, so those garlics are garlics. Let's go out and come back in. Thinking it over. Or are you going to run out and buy a tomato just so that you can... Really exciting, isn't it? There's a siren. There's always a siren. I do monkey arm. It's raining, isn't it? Of course it is. And I just snotted on myself. Yeah. Oof. It's really raining now. Of course it is. And that siren's still going. Let's go out and come back in. Why not? I love it. Thinking it over. Look at lemongrass. Check my notes. I actually wrote notes for this one and I still cocked it up. I'm off home, honestly. Squelching around up here.